So we'll start with the prayers, Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagalpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So I'll share the screen and then continue from where we stopped last week. Please let me know you can see the screen.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so a quick recap. So chapter 18, Krishna summarizes the whole Bhagavad Gita. So he starts with the Karma Yoga, which we had gone through, and then working in the consciousness of a servant of Krishna and offering the results back to Krishna. And then he speaks about Jnana Yoga, and also he speaks about the modes of nature in detail again, or summarizing the modes of nature, how modes of nature affects various aspects of knowledge, determination, and happiness in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, etc. And then gradually we had this nice description. Gradually he's taking Arjuna and all of us from reaction-free work through Jnana Yoga to Brahman platform. So we went through different varnas and ashramas. Krishna speaks about that and the need of that, so that we can have a better civilization, or we can become a human being before we start the bhakti process. And then from there, we will focus on our own prescribed duties. And in different verses, he speaks about the importance of focusing on our own duties. And from there, we can execute devotional service. If we focus on duties according to our nature, then it is easy to follow the bhakti process and be focused. And then from there, a devotee or practicing devotee can go to the Brahman platform. So that's what we will see. So we also went through the signs of or symptoms of a Brahman realized devotee. So there are many lists. So we are gradually going to reach here. It's not all of a sudden, but we can at least meditate on these aspects, and then gradually, slowly, step by step, trying to cultivate these very important qualities. So here it is described when one is free from the material conception of life. So a person who has such symptoms listed here, he or she becomes peaceful, and cannot be agitated. So from that platform, we can continue pure devotional service. So Krishna speaks a very, very important verse. This is verse 54 from chapter 18. He speaks about a Brahmabhuta stage, and then from there, how one become situated in the pure devotional service. Brahmabhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. Very, very important verse. Mad bhaktim labhate. How can one achieve pure devotional service to Krishna? So one who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful internally. He never laments or desires to have anything in this material world. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. Sama sarveshu bhuteshu. Here. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. So that's what Krishna is telling. So it's a gradual progress through that. But even at present, while we are cultivating or trying to become a devotee, we can cultivate some of these qualities, and we can try to become joyful without having any material, desires. But it is not so easy. But what we can practice currently is trying to become peaceful and happy regardless of our surroundings, especially. And it's not so easy, but as I mentioned, we can gradually, slowly cultivate. So at least when we are in the association of devotees, it is a little bit more easy, especially when we are with a very elevated devotee. Suppose we are hearing a lecture from a very senior, elevated, realized devotee, we can realize that if we contemplate. So I would like to read not the whole purport of at least portion of the purport 1854, which is very interesting. So Prabhupada mentions some of the very important things. I'll share. Let me see. Okay, so in this purport, Prabhupada, you can read later the whole purport, but he mentions one important thing, very, very important thing. To the impersonalist, achieving Brahmabhuta stage, becoming one with the Absolute is the last word. That means they are just looking for Sayujya Mukti. That means I'm becoming one with Krishna. So that means there is no separate God or servant, etc. Just everything is one. And that's it, nothing beyond that. But for the personalist or a pure devotee, one has to go still further to become engaged in pure devotional service. So the goal here is not to become one with God or the Absolute, but the goal is to become engaged in pure devotional service eternally. So that is called Brahmabhuta, or oneness with the Absolute. I am completely engaged with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the oneness. Now, without being one with the Supreme in that way, one cannot render service unto him. So in the absolute conception, there is no difference between the served, who is Krishna, and the servitor, which we are all devotees. But yet the distinction is there in a higher spiritual sense. That means Krishna is unlimited and we are not unlimited. Krishna is completely independent, we are not completely independent, etc. But both are of the same nature, Sachidananda, spirit nature. And then Prabhupada keeps explaining this, and no desire for material enjoyment, because he knows that every living entity is a fragmental part and parcel of Supreme Lord, and then therefore eternally everyone is a servant. And he does not see in the material world someone is higher, someone is lower. No, this person is of a higher status, this person is of a lower status based on job or birth in a family, or no such distinctions for a Brahmabhuta realized devotee. And for him, stone and gold are of equal value because both are material. But if there is an opportunity to offer this stone or gold to Krishna or in his service, then complete value is there, whether it is a gold or a stone. So, but he does not differentiate between these things. And then, so here is a nice sentence Prabhupada is mentioning. In that stage of existence, the idea of becoming one with the Supreme Brahman and annihilating one's individuality becomes hellish. So that is, for many people, that is the ultimate aim of life, become one with God. But Prabhupada is telling, for a pure devotee, that is hellish. To think that I am one with God and no more service to God, I am God. No, that is hellish. And the idea of attaining the heavenly kingdom, as we know, many people are aiming for that. That becomes phantasmagoria. And the senses are like serpents whose poison teeth are broken. That means our material senses are like serpents. Usually they'll try to achieve this, that, but those serpents without the teeth, without the poison teeth, are of no use. That means these material senses are of no use to achieve material desires. But of course, they can be dovetailed to serve Krishna. So there is no fear of a serpent with broken teeth. Similarly, there is no fear from the senses when they are automatically controlled. Control means the senses are being utilized only for the service of Krishna. So at last, Prabhupada mentions such a stage can be achieved by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, who preached pure devotional service in this age. That is by chanting the holy name of Krishna. So this verse is very, very important, and we can meditate on this verse while we practice our devotional service. So going back to the slides. So from this point, Krishna is going to switch to pure devotional service, how to practice pure devotional service, and what are the different aspects. In chapter 9, he described that chapter 7 through 12 is about Bhakti Yoga, devotional service in particular. And then in chapter 9, Krishna provides many aspects of pure devotional service, even chapter 12. So here Krishna is telling the most important, one of the most important instruction. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tadanantaram. Very important. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. That means one can understand me as I am. As I am. It's not a speculation, but actually who is Krishna, that one can understand as the Supreme Personality of Godhead only by devotional service. There is no other way. No other way. That's what Krishna is very, very clearly specifying. If someone wants to know Krishna as he is, not as a human being like us, but Krishna is a Supreme God. So if one wants to know, then he or she has to go through the devotional service. That is the only way. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. So to achieve Krishna, love of God, we need devotional service. No other process can take us to that stage where we know Krishna. Again, we cannot know Krishna completely. Krishna is fully independent, but we can know to some extent. So that can be done only by devotional service. So this is very, very important instruction Krishna is giving. Now here it is described that no one can understand God simply by erudite scholarship or mental speculation. Again, Prabhupada emphasizes on this aspect very, very much. Only one who is actually engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, which are the same, can understand what Krishna is. So this is so important, that because there are many people who are scholars of different scriptures. Even these days, many universities, they have courses, official courses about religious studies and sometimes even Bhagavad Gita. And that there are many so-called scientists or professors. They are well versed in Bhagavad Gita. They can, chant any verse, or if you tell, okay, where does Krishna describe this particular thing, they'll tell, okay, chapter this, chapter verse this, etc. They can, do back and forth, all those things. But they may not be having proper devotion, or they may not be practicing devotional service, so they cannot know Krishna. That's what Krishna is telling. Just by studying, or just by becoming a scholar, or just by going through some sort of mental speculation, oh, Krishna tells like this in Bhagavad Gita, that means he meant like this, etc. All this, this means that, those kind of philosophies, that won't work. By that process, Krishna cannot be known. Krishna will cover them. Yoga Maya Samavrita. He will cover those kind of people so that they will not know him because they don't want to know him from the heart. So this is very important. And then Krishna speaks, Prabhupada describes this. Vishate means that one can enter into the abode of the Supreme Lord in one's individuality to engage in his association and render service unto him. That is the meaning of Vishate, because many people misinterpret Vishate as, you will become one with God, and then you are also God in that sense. There is no difference between you and God. That is not correct. And very nice analogy Prabhupada describes that a green bird, a bird completely green, if that green bird flies and enters into a green tree, so everything is green. So externally from far, someone looks at the tree, they will feel like nothing else, only one tree is there, which is full of green. So this green bird is one with the tree, as if that's a feeling. But then we know in reality, there is a green bird sitting in that green tree. Both are green, but they are separate. Similarly, Krishna is Supreme Soul, we are spirit souls. We are all the same in that sense, but there is a difference. Achintya bheda abheda tattva. So oneness and difference. So here there is a nice figure. If there has to be bhakti, process, devotional service, then there has to be at least two individuals. One is God who is being served, and devotee who is serving, or who is a servant. Then the devotional service exists. If God and devotee are same, there is no scope of devotional service. Very similar to, in the material world, there are several services. Everyone is serving one another, right? For example, there is customer service. So there has to be a customer, and then there has to be a servant who is, serving that customer. Then the customer service exists. If the customer himself is the servant, then where is a service, right? So Prabhupada very clearly describes this or emphasizes that there has to be a devotee and a God, servant and served. Then there is devotional service. So that is very clear. Even from Krishna, it is very clear. In many verses in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, indicates that point also. Now, from that point, now what Krishna mentioned is one is Brahma Bhuta, and then he can start practicing pure devotional service, not practicing, actually executing pure devotional service, and then by bhakti only he can be known. And then he speaks about the activities in bhakti lead to Krishna's abode. So sarva karmani api sada kurvano mad vyapashraya mat prasadat. Again he's speaking, emphasizing this mat prasadat, by my mercy avapnoti shashvatam padam avyayam. This is the eternal abode. So though engaged in all kinds of activities, sarva karmani, so one may be doing all kind of proper activities, my pure devotee under my protection, very important, reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. So we don't need to leave our day-to-day activities. That's what Krishna is clearly, everything is straight. There is nothing to be speculated or interpreted. Very clearly, straightforward, Krishna is speaking. Sarva karmani api sada kurvano. You can continue your day-to-day activities. In that state, under Krishna's protection, we can reach the eternal abode. And then he's speaking work in Krishna consciousness. So emphasizing that aspect here, Chetasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasya matpara buddhi yogam upashritya matchitta satatam bhava. In all activities, just depend on me and work always under my protection. Matpara. In such devotion service, be fully conscious of me. So Chetasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasya. So devoted, do all the activities, no worries, but devote all the activities to me, and then in that consciousness, you can execute devotional service. That is very, very clear. There is no doubt what Krishna intends us to do, whether leave everything and go to some secluded place or continue your activities. So Krishna is clearly explaining, continue your activities, but offer that to Krishna. Now Prabhupada gives more descriptions to be free from material contamination, a pure devotee acts under the direction of the Lord or his representative, the spiritual master. Thus, he is guaranteed entrance to the spiritual world. So he's extending that, Krishna is telling, under my guidance. So Prabhupada is extending as under my guidance, under Krishna's guidance, or under the guidance of a representative. Why? Because no one may argue that Arjuna was acting under the personal direction of Krishna. He is right there. Krishna is right in front of Arjuna, and then Krishna is directly speaking to Arjuna. So one may argue that, yeah, for Arjuna, it's very easy. Krishna is there in front of him and directly giving guidance. And if any doubt, Krishna can quickly clarify and he can act according to Krishna's will. But how can I do that? I don't see Krishna in front of me directly. I'm not able to talk to Krishna the way Arjuna was asking doubts, and how can I achieve the same position? So Prabhupada is extending that Krishna's instruction that his representative is as good as Krishna. He's not God. Guru is not God. Distinction is said, but Guru is as good as Krishna because Guru provides the exact same instruction what Krishna provides. So if we have any doubts, ask his representative. So he is telling, if one acts according to the direction of Krishna in this book. Now Prabhupada very mercifully provided the translation and purports of Bhagavad Gita. So if we have any doubt, we can open the book and get the direction. And then we have spiritual masters and many devotees who can give guidance to us if we have any doubts. And then the result will be the same result which Arjuna received, we can also get. Correct? So Prabhupada is a pure devotee. He was completely absorbed in Krishna every moment. And then he, in various ways, he gave us this transcendental knowledge, of course, through the book. And then he spoke many lectures about Bhagavad Gita, and then he gave guidance to his own direct disciples, and then their availabilities as for us. So we are very fortunate to receive Krishna's instruction the way Arjuna received also. And then Krishna goes from that point to mention some of the do's and don'ts, sort of result of working in Krishna consciousness, what will happen. So he speaks, Machitta sarva durgani mat prasadal tarishyasi. So in Krishna consciousness, in that mood, if you work, sarva durgani, all the obstacles, tarishyasi, I will destroy all the obstacles. Or by mercy, you will be overcoming all the obstacles in the path of bhakti. If you work in Krishna consciousness. If you don't do that, result of not following Krishna, then athajetvam ahankaran na shroshyasi vinangshyasi. So with false ego, I am the doer, I know how to do, I don't need any guidance, let me do what I like. If you do in that mode, then you will be destroyed. That's what Krishna is telling. You can see here, Arjuna is fighting, and in the Kurukshetra Yuddha, and then Krishna is giving guidance. So according to Krishna's guidance, Arjuna is fighting, and then all the obstacles in the process of his path will be destroyed. Now there is one pastime in the Mahabharata Yuddha. Jayadratha is trying to fight against Arjuna, and then it's a long story. So Jayadratha is protected by all the Kauravas, different circles and all those things. And then Arjuna is a great fighter, but he's not able to kill Jayadratha. And then Arjuna also take a vow that if I don't kill him by today evening, I'm going to suicide. So the Kauravas were very happy. And then Arjuna is fighting, not able to reach Jayadratha. He's hiding inside the Kaurava circles. And then it's almost getting late. And then Kauravas are very happy. But then at that time, Krishna, because Arjuna is acting according to Krishna's will, so Krishna with his Sudarshan Chakra hides the sun for a moment. So everyone thought from Kaurava army, yeah, the war has ended. Now Arjuna cannot kill, so Arjuna is going to die himself. So then we will win the war. But then Krishna takes the Sudarshana Chakra away from that. So he uncovered sun again. So it's not yet late evening. And then Krishna gives a very quick instruction to Arjuna. Arjuna, take the bow and arrow, kill Jayadratha. So Arjuna did not think about, oh, did Krishna do the right thing here, cheating the Kauravas by covering sun or this, that. He did not go through any logic and reasoning. Krishna spoke, gave an instruction, completely surrendered devotee, quickly followed that instruction, and then he kills Jayadratha. That is correct. So Arjuna has support from Krishna. Well, here Ravan is being killed by Lord Ram because he was acting based on false ego. I know everything, etc., etc., and he was destroyed. So Krishna gives that instruction also. If you follow this, this will happen. If you do not follow, then this is going to happen. And then continuing, Krishna speaks that one works as per his nature anyway. That means suppose one does, he's speaking to Arjuna, but it's also for us. Arjuna, I'm giving these instructions. If you follow this and fight, then you will be all good. If you do not follow my instruction, anyway you are going to act based on your own nature. So you have a Kshatriya nature, so you are going to act based on that only. So Krishna is giving, two choices here. You act according to my instruction, or you will be anyway acting. There is no way you cannot act. And this is same for us also. We cannot sit idle doing nothing. We have to act. So it's better to, anyway we have to act. So act based on Krishna's instruction, so we are completely safe. Now he is going to give another important instruction. Super soul is the master and director. So he spoke about this before also. Even in this chapter, there are 5 factors affecting any activity. In that he mentioned that, of course, it starts with us, the soul, our endeavors, our senses, the body, etc. But 5th one is super soul, most important. It has to be sanctioned. Any activity has to be sanctioned by the super soul. He is Krishna, one of his manifestations, super soul sitting in everyone's hearts. So he speaks here, Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. Very important verse. Prabhupada speaks many times this. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati. Ishvara, Krishna, the Supreme Soul, he is sitting in the hearts of every living entity, hriddeshe, in the heart. And Brahmayan, controlling or guiding or directing, sarva bhutani, everyone, whether you are a devotee or not, he is guiding and driving. Yantra rudhani maya, like a, considering the body as a machine. So body as a machine, and Krishna sitting in the heart is guiding every living entity, whether you are a man or woman or animal or plant or insect, anybody. So by the order of the Supreme Soul, material nature fashions a particular type of body to a particular type of living entity so that he may work according to his past desires. So the living entity is not independent. That's the point here, because one may have done many activities in the past life or past lives. Based on that, that person will acquire a body. It is not that I am, suppose one becomes a tiger, that soul is not desiring to become a tiger, but that is the only choice. There is no choice, that's the only option. And then in that tiger body, super soul is sitting and then guiding that person sitting. So it is something like driving the car. So Krishna is driving the car in that sense, or Krishna is guiding the movement of this body. So he is mentioning that. And then because Lord sanctions desires of living entity to wander and provides the facilities to fulfill those desires, therefore takes shelter of him. That means anyway, super soul sitting in the heart is, sanctioning this desire, that desire. Sometimes one may desire for this particular thing and he may get it. Sometimes desire may be there, but he will not get it because he may not have enough credit from past karmic activities to acquire that desire, achieve that desire. So Krishna as super soul sanctions this or that. And then if super soul is sanctioning then super soul will provide the facilities to fulfill those desires also. It is not that we are by our own effort, we are getting those facilities. We may think that, I'm working hard and earning money and then I'm able to live like this. But some people who are working hard, but they are not able to earn money, or they may lose money. There are different variations. Why? Because of their karmic activities. So Krishna is providing those facilities also, even the strength to work also, and then all the facilities. So anyway, Super Soul is doing all these things for everyone. Then why don't you take shelter of him? That is his argument here, right? It makes sense, much more sense. Now, so that instruction he's giving here. Tameva sharanam gacha sarva bhavena bharata tal prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. O son of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode. So here Krishna is giving a very important instruction, that surrender. Now, in this verse he speaks surrender to super soul who is sitting in the heart. And later we will see the ultimate surrender. So in chapter 15, the verse 15, this is also a very famous verse where Krishna speaks about this aspect. One should surrender unto the super soul sitting within, means that one should surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matah sarvam pravarta, no, not this. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyo vedanta krit vedavi deva chaham. In 15:15. So he speaks there, sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto. Same thing in the previous verse. I am sitting in everyone's heart of every living entity. Because sarvasya cha aham, he is mentioning aham, then me. I am the person, right? When he speaks me, it's a person, not the oneness or something. And matta smritir jnanam apohananja. The remembrance, forgetfulness, knowledge, everything comes from me. So he's very specifically telling me, aham, etc. there. That means that person who is sitting in everyone's heart is same as this person he's mentioning, super soul, sitting in everyone's hearts. That means super soul and Krishna are the same. They are the person, one supreme person. So surrender unto that person. That only Krishna is indicating here, but later he will clarify that. Because what happens is people misinterpret this. Oh, now Krishna is telling here, surrender unto him, another person. Krishna speaking in front of Arjuna, and then he's telling a third person, surrender to that third person, and or that him means oneness. See, Krishna is telling to surrender unto oneness. But then Prabhupada clarifies this. In previous chapter, he already spoke about the same aspect. Who is sitting in the heart? That him only. He who is standing in front of Arjuna, that person is speaking aham, etc. So that means there is no doubt about whether this him is a Brahman, all one kind of effulgence, or this particular supreme person. It is supreme person only. And then this is very very important instruction Krishna is giving. And from this we know how kind Krishna is also. He is not a pushing personality. He is not a pushing God. But he speaks, now do as you wish. Iti te jnanam akhyatam guhyat guhyataram maya vimashyaitad asheshena yathechasi tatha kuru. So he speaks the whole Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1. Of course, it was Arjuna's mental state, emotional state, etc. Then chapter 2 onwards, most of the time Krishna is speaking, giving different instructions, speaking about karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga. And then finally he is telling, thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate this on fully. And then do what you wish to do. He's giving the choice to Arjuna. Do what you wish to do. He's not telling, now you must do this. No, you don't have any other option because I spoke for such a long, or whatever time he spent. in this battlefield. Now you don't have any option, Arjuna. Just do what I say. No, he's not telling that. Do what you wish to do. You still have a choice. Now you can see, we go through these situations very frequently, right? Now I have to act. Now I have this choice, the other choice. Now I have a choice to eat this kind of food or that kind of food, or I have a choice to behave in this way or that way. I have a choice to pursue this career or that career. I have a choice to everything. We have choice, right? So Krishna is giving us also choice. We have that tiny free will, but it depends on how we utilize that free will. That will give us the right outcome. Now Arjuna stood silently reviewing the very deep meaning of Gita scripture, all these instructions. Now glancing at his dear friend, Krishna's merciful heart melted like butter and he spoke. Now Krishna knew, Arjuna is going through the whole Bhagavad Gita and then he's trying to make a decision. So glancing at Arjuna, Krishna is very merciful, very kind. His heart melted like butter and he spoke, "Oh, my dear friend Arjuna, I will now speak the essence of the whole scripture in few verses." Now, Krishna wanted to give Arjuna a very conclusive statement in a nutshell, so that Arjuna need not go through the whole Bhagavad Gita. Karma Yoga is there, Jnana Yoga is there. I can act this way, that way. Which one I should speak? I mean, because Krishna himself gave many instructions, which are all good. So, which one I will pick? So Krishna doesn't want Arjuna to go through that dilemma. So forget about the difficulties in having to review everything and understand, etc. But let me give you the final, ultimate, utmost instruction. That's what Krishna is feeling. And then he will go to that instruction. So here, again here my supreme instruction, he is telling, Sarva Guhyatamam, that is supreme. Sarva Guhyatamam bhuya shrinu me paramam vachah ishtosi me dridhamiti tato vakshyami me te hitam. So here the supreme and most secret knowledge, which is greater than what he spoke in 62, wherein, surrender to the super soul. That was an ultimate instruction also. But now he's speaking most secret knowledge, because he already revealed this in chapter 9. We are going to see that same verse, almost same verse, only few words are different. The next verse, which is 65th verse, it is very, very, very important, ultimate instruction, how to act as a devotee or how to become a devotee. We can take that in both ways. Krishna will now repeat it to stress the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So here we know confidential knowledge is knowledge of Brahman. Brahma Bhuta, Prasannatma, Nasochati, Nasankshati, etc. He spoke. You become Brahman realized. So you will act, without making any distinction between this person, that person, good, bad, and you are always intelligent, always peaceful, no agitation, etc. That is confidential knowledge. That itself feels confidential. Then he spoke more confidential knowledge, wherein you surrender unto the super soul sitting in the heart. That is the more confidential knowledge. And then he's going to speak the most confidential knowledge, which is just surrender unto me directly. I'm the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. So just before that surrender principle, Krishna speaks the essence of Bhagavad Gita here, which is devotion to Krishna. And this is very, very important verse. Everyone should by heart this verse, if possible, so that we can meditate on this verse when we do anything, any activities. We can see that. Why? Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratidane priyosi me. Very important. Krishna is telling what to do. How to become a bhakta, or once you are a bhakta, how do you act? Manmana, that means one should concentrate his mind upon Krishna. Think about me. Krishna is telling not think about third person now. He's telling think about me directly. Bhava mad bhakto, become my devotee. Madhyaji, mam namaskuru. So he's telling worship me, Madhyaji, and mam namaskuru. Pay obeisances unto me. Mame vaishyasi. In that way you will reach me to my abode, spiritual world. Satyam te pratidane priyosime. I promise that this will happen. There is no doubt. No, I'm telling this, try doing this, you may come to me, etc. He's not telling like that. You do this, you will definitely come to me, no doubt. Why? You are priyosime. I'm telling this to you because you are very dear to me. Correct? So, Prabhupada is always very, very kind to us. Elaborating this if one has a doubt. There is no point in doubting this instruction. Krishna is telling to me, the person, not telling, you think about nothingness. How can one think about nothingness? No form, formless. We cannot think about something which doesn't have a form. Like all our thinking process is based on forms. We remember, right from childhood, why they, even in the preschools or so, they will show, say this is a mango. So they'll show a mango and then teach this is mango. So that they can remember by seeing the form. So remembering anything requires a form. So Krishna is telling, yes, think about me. No, I have the form. Arjuna is seeing the form in front of him and then become my devotee. This is the ultimate essence. He is speaking this after speaking everything else, becoming one with the Brahman and in that spiritual sense, and then surrendering unto super soul. And then he's speaking, this is the most confidential, very important instruction. Become my devotee, worship me. So I have to have a form to be worshipped and pay obeisances unto me. So Prabhupada is elaborating that, telling one should concentrate his mind upon Krishna, who is Krishna, the very form, with two hands carrying a flute. Of course, flute is here. In this form, little different form, his playful pastime, still fine. The bluish boy with a beautiful face and peacock feathers in his hair. And then there are many, many verses given by acharyas how to meditate on this form. He has nice, beautiful face, lotus-like face, nice peacock feather, nice bracelets, and nice dhoti and pitambara, and so many different descriptions. His smile, his eyes, how beautiful his eyes are, his lotus feet is so soft, and all those things. So we can meditate on very, we have different forms of Krishna also, but the form is very important, and meditate on that. So that is the essence of Bhagavad Gita Krishna is giving to Arjuna. If one miss this, then they miss the whole essence and sweetness of Bhagavad Gita. Now, after Krishna speaks this, Arjuna is still thinking that there are other dharmic duties also which have to be followed. Because, Krishna talked about prescribed duties and, you have to follow this, that, etc. So what should be done about them? They are also dharmic duties. Also, how is it possible for men whose hearts are contaminated with unlimited sins, which are persons like me, to perform pure bhakti to Krishna like this, always think about Krishna, etc. How can one do that if one is still sinful, lot of lot of unwanted desires in the heart is contaminated, and lot of distractions and etc. So how can one think about Krishna all the time? So do we need to destroy these sins by maybe some other process or so? So Arjuna may be thinking about that, because Krishna speaks in 728 also, you have to purify the heart. All the sins, antagatam papam, has to be removed, etc. by following prescribed dharma with atonements. So Arjuna is having that thought process. So Krishna knew. Krishna is sitting in his heart also, and externally he knows what we are thinking and all those things. So Krishna speaks the next, very important verse, the conclusive verse of Bhagavad Gita. Even the 65 is also that. So Krishna tells, simply surrender to me. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. So he tells ma shuchaha, do not fear. No need to worry about anything. Simply sarva dharman parityajya, abandon all varieties of religion. all where he's speaking Dharman, even abandon all varieties of religion. Very, very straightforward he's telling. But what to do? Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Then mam ekam, just surrender unto me only. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Now what I will do, if you do that, aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So this is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, conclusive verse. We have few more verses, but this is the ultimate aim of studying Bhagavad Gita, so that we can completely surrender ourselves to the person, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And he is giving the promise, guaranteed. This is a guaranteed process. Ma shucha, do not fear. Do not fear to leave all other dharmas. Now there is a process. It's not that whimsically we are not in a position to completely surrender to Krishna, and then still we abandon all the religion, all the varieties of dharmas which we have to do. That is not what Krishna is telling. It's a gradual process, so we have to take it in the right sense. But this is the ultimate aim. Yes, if one can completely surrender unto Krishna, then he or she need not follow any other dharmic principles or process for the process, but still pure devotees follow the process so that others can be learned for teaching others, etc. But from the heart, if one can completely surrender unto Krishna, then we don't need to worry about whether am I doing the dharmic activity properly, or etc., or we don't need to endeavor too much to fulfill this dharmic principle or that dharmic principle, as far as we are behaving properly, etc. But if we are completely surrendered to Krishna. But anyway, ultimate aim is this. That is most important for us now. Complete surrender unto Krishna. If we do that, then Krishna will take care of everything. There is no need to worry, because Krishna is the supreme controller, supreme master, supreme enjoyer also. Nothing can happen without the will of Krishna, or we cannot hide anything from Krishna. So many times, devotees, spiritual masters also give instruction that, even if you have some, unwanted desires, or if your heart is not pure, etc., you can open up that in front of Krishna. Even though Krishna knows, of course, Krishna knows that we have this desire, this is not good, or whatever contaminations. But it is okay, it is good to be honest in front of Krishna, so that we are showing that, I am surrendering unto you. I have this, we don't need to speak in a microphone or so, but we can open our heart to Krishna and then speak. I have these problems, Krishna, please help me to get rid of this, etc. Because Krishna is very kind also. If one is not completely surrendered, Krishna is not going to abandon him. As far as that person has a desire to achieve Krishna, surrender to Krishna, and then trying or making some endeavor by following the bhakti path to approach him, Krishna will help us to go through that whatever challenging situations, and make us completely surrender to him. Okay, so in the purport, Prabhupada gives a nice description of this, because this is the most important verse of Bhagavad Gita. Again, just to point that out, many people study Bhagavad Gita, but they will miss out this instruction. For them, some other verse may be most important, according to their interpretation or their own sort of materialistic desires. Because Bhagavad Gita is complete; it has complete knowledge. If you want to know how to manage things properly, you have guidance from Bhagavad Gita. If you want to know how to meditate properly, you have instruction from Bhagavad Gita. If you want to know how to deal with other people, in the material, in the workplace or family or wherever, how to speak to people nicely, we have instruction in Bhagavad Gita. How to eat good food, we have instruction in the Bhagavad Gita, etc., etc. There are anything you want, the instruction how to do that in the best way, is there in Bhagavad Gita. So many people may get attached to those things. Oh, I like that verse because that speaks about, that verse talks about, this aspect which I like, etc. But then the ultimate instruction is this. All those things what we are doing, why Krishna gave us that is to take us to this path, finally to surrender unto him. So Lord described various kinds of knowledge and process of religion in Bhagavad Gita. He spoke about knowledge of Supreme Brahman, the super soul, different types of orders and statuses of social life, the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Sannyasi, Vanaprastha, Grihastha, Brahmachari, etc., Varna and Ashramas, the renounced order of life, etc. Non-attachment, how to become detached, etc. Sense and mind control, how to control the mind. Somebody may get attached to just that aspect. Meditation, etc. But now in summary, he's telling Arjuna should give up all the processes that have been explained to him. It's very interesting. He gives all these things and then tell, okay, give up all those things, just surrender unto him. Now, of course, Krishna has different plans while he speaks Bhagavad Gita in this way. His audience is not Arjuna alone, or not pure devotees alone, but different kinds of people. So he's opening this to, or making this accessible to every living entity in one sense, at least human being. And so that they can, in the beginning, yes, they can get attached to some of the various aspects, Supreme Brahman, Super Soul, renounced order, being detached, sense control, mind control. But then gradually he wants everyone to come to this level of surrendering completely. So he speaks to Arjuna. He knows that Arjuna is qualified. He should simply surrender to Krishna himself. Now that surrender will save him from all kinds of sinful reactions, for the Lord personally promises to protect him. And he is promising the same thing to us also. And in the purport, Prabhupada brings this particular verse from Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is also repeated in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The verse is Anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjanam rakshisyati iti vishvaso goptrutve varanam tatha atmanikshepa karpanye shadvidha sharanagati. So this is about sharanagati. That means again same, surrendering unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are 6 aspects or principles of sharanagati, which is because one may ask, how do I surrender to Krishna? What does that mean, surrender? I hear that from Bhagavad Gita. Many devotees are speaking that this is the ultimate instruction, surrender, surrender, surrender. What does that mean? Now I want to know some practical activities by which I can, so that I can surrender. Otherwise, if it is still in my mind, surrender, mentally I cannot simply surrender, right? So Prabhupada gives that in the purport. There are 6 activities. One is accept what is favorable for devotional service. That means do activities which are favorable to devotional service, and reject what is not in favor of devotional service. Anything which is not going to help us progress through the devotional path, don't do that. But anything which is helping us to progress in the path of bhakti, continue doing that. And having faith that Krishna will surely give protection, surely. Now Krishna will give protection, he is telling, Mashucha. So have that faith. And then accepting Krishna as one's guardian or master. Now Krishna is my ultimate master. So I would like to please my master, guardian. And then full self-surrender, Atmanivedana. And then humility. It is very important. Humility is very, very important. Without that, none of these things will work. If we are not humble to accept that I am so insignificant and I am completely dependent on God to act in any way, if we do not have such feeling, then how can we accept what is favorable and all these things? We don't have faith if we are not humble enough. So we can see here Sanatan Goswami. He is one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, chief or senior. He's brother of Rupa Goswami. And he, of course, he's a pure devotee. He's completely surrendered to Krishna. So even at his later ages, It was very difficult for him to walk also, but still he was doing the Govardhan Parikram. So Govardhan Parikram these days will take several hours. It is almost 24 kilometer or something, at least more than 20 kilometers circling. And he was doing that every day. And then Krishna knew that, his body is not supporting, etc. So Krishna gave him a small Govardhan Shila and asked him, you can circumambulate this 7 times, and that is equivalent to circumambulating the whole Govardhan hill. So Krishna is very kind. He is helping his pure devotee, etc. So Sanatana Goswami is having full faith in Krishna that he will surely give protection. He is his own master. He is self-surrendered completely. He is giving an example to us. So we can try to follow these instructions. So Prabhupada gave the 4 regulative principles: what is favorable, what is not favorable. And the nectar of instruction, Rupa Goswami also gives us, what is good for bhakti, what is not good for bhakti. So Acharyas elaborate this also. What kind of activities are favorable for devotional service, anukulyasya, and what is not favorable. Now in our day-to-day life also, even while we are choosing a career or working or doing some activities at home, maintaining the home, or what kind of people we are dealing with. And sometimes we have to deal with people who are not so favorable for devotional service, but then we cannot avoid that dealing. Then how do we deal with those people also, so that it will not cause us troubles in our bhakti path, but we can be still progressing, etc. So we can think about such aspects also, and then keeping full faith in Krishna that he will completely protect. We know Prahlad Maharaj, we discussed before, he had full faith. So whatever happens, Krishna is there for my protection. Having that faith will give us confidence also to accept what is favorable for devotional service. Sometimes this activity may help us, we know that, but then we have little doubt, if I do this, will I have some other issues in my material life? Is he very kind that he will protect me? Or we may develop such doubts, etc. So we need to have some devotee association, discuss with that, and increase our faith. Just by hearing the experiences of other devotees, and these days we have it available through online media. Many disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they give their own experiences in this situation, that situation. So just by learning their life also, we can increase our faith in Krishna. And in that way, we know that one should be confident that in all circumstances, Krishna will protect him from all difficulties. Krishna is doing that not only to us as devotees, practicing devotees, but Krishna is protecting and helping all the living entities. Otherwise, how these animals, they don't have a job, or they don't have bank account, they don't have any storage facility for food, but they are getting food every day. Even the big elephants gets food every day. So Krishna is protecting everyone. We just need to have that confidence. And there is no need of thinking how one should keep the body and soul together. That doesn't mean no need to act. That is not the instruction. Don't act, don't go for a work, don't do any activity. Just sit somewhere and Krishna will give us food, and Krishna will, that is not the instruction. But do your duties, everything as an offering to Krishna, and have faith that Krishna will see to that. That means, keeping the body and soul together. That Krishna is seeing anyway, but increase the faith that Krishna will see to that. One should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. That is very, very important. Always think himself helpless. That means I need Krishna's support. I need to beg for his mercy. And consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. That means my only aim is to achieve love of Godhead, re-establish the broken relationship with him. We are all connected to Krishna all the time. We may not be aware of that, or we might have forgotten that since many millions of lives. Now the only aim is bring that relationship back. Just re-establish that broken relationship and then achieve him again. From Krishna's side, he is still with us. He is sitting in our hearts, whether we are a devotee or not. Any living entities, yes. So Krishna is there always, but we sort of take a different direction. We went away from Krishna. So now our only basis should be, how do we, get back to Krishna? And he is helping us. He is helping us. It is like, somebody is in a somebody fell in a well, deep well. So spiritual master or Krishna or both, they are giving us a rope from the top, and they are holding to the rope very strongly. They never leave the rope, the bhakti process. Now we simply need to hold on to that rope. That's all we have to do, and have faith that they will take us out of the well of material world. So our only aim should be that, nothing else. So with that, Krishna concludes the Bhagavad Gita instructions, and then in the closing verses, he glorifies Bhagavad Gita, he glorifies the preaching, and then we will see how Sanjaya felt, because we will come to that. So having completed his teachings, Krishna will now speak of the glory of Gita and the result of hearing it, Phalashruti. So he's also talking about how to pass this message to others. So in verse 67, he speaks about idam te na tapaskaya na abhaktaya kadachana na chashushruve vachyam na chamam yobhyasu suyati. This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. So it's interesting that Krishna speaks that this knowledge, that is Bhagavad Gita, or at least the confidential knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, should not be explained to those who are not austere, who are not devoted, or who are not engaged in devotional service. Then in this material world, most of the people are like this. They are not austere, they are not devoted, they are not engaged in devotional service. And many people are envious of Krishna. So we see a little contradiction here. So we will see here in verse 68 and 69, he describes, for one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end, he will come back to me. And also he speaks, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. No. Kashchine priyakritamah. Priyakritamah, so dear to me, who is explaining this knowledge to others. So in a temple setting, most of the time we know that, devotees will be there. So somebody is giving this pure transcendental knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. He will be speaking to the devotees. That is according to Krishna's instruction. One who explains the secret to the devotees. Yes, pure devotional service is guaranteed. At the end, they will come back to me. And they are very dear to me. But we also see that Prabhupada established this ISKCON as a preaching movement. That means we are not instructed to learn Bhagavad Gita and speak Bhagavad Gita to devotees alone. But we are also instructed to pass this message to everyone in some sense. So are we contradicting Krishna? Not really. Of course, Krishna here explains this confidential knowledge not to be explained to those who are envious, etc., etc. That's why we give Harinam to those who are kind of envious, who are against this. We will not preach them. We will not ask them, yes, you just need to surrender now. Otherwise, you'll be destroyed, or those things we will not mention. If somebody is inclined, yes, we will give this knowledge. And then devotees take a little bit risk. Even if Krishna speaks like this, I'm sure Krishna will not go away from me if I try to give this to somebody who is not engaged in devotional service, etc. Even if that happens, I'm okay, because I know I'm trying to give Krishna to him as an instrument of my spiritual master. So that's okay. But then we have to see whom we are giving. And depending on that, we can speak to what extent we can speak the confidential knowledge. So that there we can be careful. But otherwise, yes, we can give this to any people. Somebody may not be austere, but then if they are inclined, yes, there are many devotees, especially in the Western world, they were not austere in that sense. Sleeping, waking up times and cleanliness, they were not following. But then after Prabhupada gave Bhagavad Gita to them, they became pure devotees. So yes, we don't, and because Krishna speaks here, whoever preaches this is very dear to me. Now the preaching, whom to give what, that we have to make some distinction. Otherwise, yes, we should not prevent ourselves in giving this message to other people. That is very, very important also. Krishna is giving that instruction here. And then in verse, so I'll go through a little bit. We have a few more minutes. So he speaks here, and I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. Because some may think that, I can study Bhagavad Gita, but I'm not so comfortable to preach this to somebody else. There are people who are shy or different reasons. So Krishna speaks to them. Yes, if you cannot preach, at least you study by using your intelligence. That means you are worshipping me by your intelligence. And then one who listens with faith and without envy, which is very important, listens with faith and without envy, becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. So when we listen, we have to have some faith, and then we should not be envious of Krishna. Otherwise, again, we will increase our sins by doing, sinful activities. Not that by listening without envy will not create new sinful reaction, but then, our tendency to do more sins will not decrease if we have that kind of attitude. So we should not envy Krishna. I see Arjuna is calling Krishna Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhagavan. Oh, he's glorifying Krishna so much. I'm feeling envy about Krishna. Why he's so big? Why he's telling all these things to Krishna? And then Krishna is telling, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, Matta Sarvam Pravartade. Everything comes from me. I'm the source. Oh, he's so proud, etc. Those kind of feelings we should not cultivate. We should know that he's simply telling the truth. It is something like, if I'm telling I have 5 fingers, I'm not telling based on pride or something. I'm just telling a fact. For Krishna, it is simple fact that he is the source of everything. He is not telling in that mood. So we should not envy. And then verse 72-73, he speaks about, asking Arjuna, have you heard this with an attentive mind? So meaning when we study Bhagavad Gita, we also have to have an attentive mind. And are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled? So if we hear with attentive mind, with a humble mood, our ignorance and illusion will be dispelled. So Arjuna, yes, was hearing with an attentive mind. He was completely absorbed in Krishna. So Arjuna speaks, my dear Krishna, he speaks, this is a famous verse too. Nashto moha smritir labdhva tval prasadan maya achyuta sthitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Now he is telling here, few verses before Krishna spoke to him, I gave you all the instruction. Now yathechasi tatha kuru. Whatever you wish, do that. Take your choice. Now we have multiple choices, you pick. Then Arjuna is giving that answer here. O infallible one, speaking to Krishna, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. He is very aware that by Krishna's mercy, I regained my memory. That means, my eternal connection to you. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions. This is the symptom of a pure devotee. I am prepared to act according to your instructions. Krishna, you tell me to do this, I will do. You tell me to do that, I will do, etc. So very, very obedient servant. Even if I don't like to do this, but if you ask me to do this, I will do. And even if I would like to do this, but if you tell not to do, I will not do. That is the symptom of a pure devotee. And in Krishna's Dwaraka pastime, Rukmini and Krishna, their son is Pradyumna. He is celebrated as, model servant, the best servant. Because Pradyumna, whatever Krishna tells him to do, even if he doesn't want to do, he will do that. And if Krishna tells don't do this, even if Pradyumna wants to do, he will not, because Krishna doesn't want him to do. So that is the nature of Arjuna also. He has come to that position now. And then in verse 74, 75, so back to the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, as we know, as Bhagavad Gita starts with Dhritarashtra asking Sanjaya, what is happening in the battlefield. So Sanjaya Sanjaya spoke all these things, whatever he has seen in the battlefield, all these instructions he repeated to Dhritarashtra, and then he's speaking. Sanjaya is telling, thus have I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. Adbhutam Roma Harshanam. My hair is standing on end by hearing this wonderful message. That is Sanjaya's realization after hearing Bhagavad Gita attentively. We can also feel that when we hear this attentively from an authorized source. And then he tells, by the mercy of Vyasa, very important instruction. Vyasa is a spiritual master of Sanjaya. So because of the mercy of my spiritual master, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. So I was able to, because they are sitting not in the war field elsewhere, but Sanjaya was able to see and hear only because of the mercy of his spiritual master. So we also need mercy from Srila Prabhupada, our own spiritual masters, so that we can actually hear the essence what Krishna is speaking when we study Bhagavad Gita. Without that mercy, it is not easy to achieve love of Godhead and understand Bhagavad Gita. And then he's continuing, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment. So these are the symptoms we are seeing of a person who is attentively hearing and studying Bhagavad Gita. And as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, because he heard Manmana, Bhava Madbhakto, those instructions are the essence. So he's remembering the wonderful form of Krishna. I'm struck with wonder more and more. He's telling wonderful, wonderful. Now he's telling struck with wonder more and more. And I rejoice again and again, punah punah. Again and again, I'm hrishyami, rejoice. I'm feeling happy and happy. So, Bhagavad Gita is having so much of philosophy, this instruction, that instruction. But if the listener is, or whoever is studying, the student is studying in the right mood, then we can relish it actually. That is what Sanjay is feeling, and we can also feel that. And the last verse, it is famous. Yatra Yogeshwarah Krishno Yatra Partho Dhanurdharah Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvani Tirmatir Mama. Yatra Yogeshwarah Krishna. Wherever there is Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara. Dhanurdhara means master of all, supreme archer. Arjuna. Wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer. Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvani Tirmatir Mama. So there will be certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. Matir Mama, that is my opinion. So that's what Sanjaya is telling to Dhritarashtra. In the beginning, when Dhritarashtra asked the question, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, whoever is there and what is happening there, Dhritarashtra had a hope that his sons Kauravas will win, or he wanted to know whether there is a possibility of them to win, etc. And of course, in the beginning itself, the Bhagavad Gita gives indications that Pandavas only will win because Krishna is with them. And then concluding statement Sanjay is giving, wherever there is Krishna and Arjuna, there is victory. That is the conclusion to Dhritarashtra. And we can extend this to our own lives also. We are having so much war in our hearts every day, every moment. So the only way to come out of that situation is surrender to Krishna via the mercy of spiritual master and devotees like Arjuna, pure devotee. And we have Srila Prabhupada. and then his followers and other devotees. So we can keep that association, and in that way we can surrender to Krishna. Now to help us more in this yuga, Lord Chaitanya has descended. Special Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna himself, they descend to this material world only once in a day of Brahma, and day of Brahma has got so many yuga cycles, 1000 yuga cycles. So this is a very special Kali Yuga in which we are all getting connected to the devotional process. And as we can see in this picture, the gopis, Radharani is serving Krishna, completely surrendered, the most elevated devotees. And looks like very difficult for us to achieve that kind of position. But then Lord Chaitanya in the below, Lord Chaitanya is giving us the key to enter the Vraja Prema, love of Godhead, in this way also, just by chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then Lord Srila Prabhupada is bringing that key to us, which is given by Lord Chaitanya. Here he is telling, chant Hare Krishna and everything will be clear. Everything. Krishna will reveal. The more you chant, the spiritual life will be revealed. And he's chanting the mantra. I started this movement simply by chanting this Maha Mantra. So he started ISKCON in the beginning, not by teaching Bhagavad Gita in the beginning, but he started this by chanting the holy name. And then he attracted the living entities and then started giving the message of Bhagavad Gita and continuously helping all the living entities to achieve the love of Godhead. So I will stop here. Maybe I took a little bit extra time so that we can conclude, and then invite you for any comments or questions or reflections.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you show the slide of 59 and 60?
59 and 60.
That one slide.
Yeah. 59 and 60. Okay. Sharing. I'll share.
Previous one is 58A.
Okay. Please let me know if you can see. Yeah, this one or previous one. Is this slide?
Yeah, this one. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Okay.
And Prabhuji, one more thing.
Yes.
The last word is Mama, and Bhagavad Gita started with the Dharma, so it is Mama Dharma.
Yes, of course. Bhagavad Gita is the
Dharma Kshetra is started. Yes. So the Dharma is there. The last word is Mama. So
right.
The full Bhagavad Gita is Mama Dharma.
Yes, it is our Dharma, regardless of
yes,
who you are, which country, which caste, beyond everything. Yes, it is Sanatana Dharma. Thank you. Yes, Mataji, Nandini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam Prabhuji.
Pranam.
Prabhuji, today your lecture is hats off to you, Prabhuji. Means whatever our questions in our mind, it's all we have got. I got all the answers, and it's really very nice, Prabhuji. Thank you a lot, and please bless us so that we can follow the path of bhakti like you also. And Prabhuji, one heartiest request to you, that if we get the recording of these lectures, then later on also, because I forget the things very soon. So to revise all these things, then I can play it again and see.
Okay.
Because the first part of your lecture, it was I have got. But after that, I have not got. So if you'll do this kripa on me, then it will be very, very.
I will get that arrangement. And thank you, Mataji. Please bless me also so that I can also follow. And as I mentioned before, Bhagavad Gita has answers to all our questions, so it was not my something, but it is Bhagavad Gita is giving you all the answers, and by the mercy of my spiritual master and Prabhupada, I was here in this moment, but it came from Bhagavad Gita.
When Babaji, if we'll get the recording, then we can share it with also others, because I am not able to speak nicely and cannot do the prachar like that also. So if I can send these videos, then they can also be benefited. For that only I'm asking.
Okay, I will make that arrangement to reach to you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Pranam,
Hare,
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for this wonderful classes.
Hare Krishna.
And, yeah.
So,
So from
yes,
next
please.
week we are starting Bhagavatam.
Yeah. So right. So thank you for your all enthusiasm, and I know it's a Sunday early morning. You are all coming, and so it's very much grateful to all of you for inspiring me also.
We are blessed, Prabhuji. We are blessed. We are blessed.
All glories to Prabhupada. He's giving us so much. Any other realization? Yeah. Hare Krishna Mataji, also for your inspirations. Any reflections or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Okay, so if you have no more reflections, we'll stop here. Shri Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrindi ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.